mixed emotions when I welcome you to the show today because we will be talking about the Pahalgam attack. As an Indian, obviously, we are all angry.
What's more important right now is that we should channel our emotions in a way that we don't create a sort of hatred towards each other. It's a very shameful incident that people were asked about their religion before killing them, and this is not something which is very normal. This should not have happened.
What do you think about international support from countries like US, France, UAE, Russia?
Countries have come up supporting India, and that is a huge blow for Pakistan. All the Muslim countries right now are standing with India.
Regarding the Shimla Agreement, whatever the statement that they have issued,
Hmm.
do you think it was a very premature and, not mincing my words, a stupid move by Pakistan?
I think definitely.
This overall deployment of army, fighter jets, and everything along the border by by Pakistan, are they somewhere anticipating a surgical strike by India, and it's a response more towards that?
Probably yes, and it's also not a surprise. Full-scale war seems very difficult right now.
And this has happened in a place where you have been born and brought up. So my specific question to you: how do you feel about it?
Islam is a very peaceful religion, and this Islam, whatever they have been propagating, we don't endorse.
It's been almost a week since the Pahalgam attacks in Kashmir happened. Uh, as citizens of the country, we are all hurt. We are all angry. We are angrier because this time the terrorists had the audacity to selectively kill Hindu tourists in the valley. Our prayers are with all the families that have been affected in the attacks, and also with Kashmir, which finally seemed to be leaving its horrific past behind. Today we have with us Tehmeena Rizvi, who is a public policy analyst and speaker, and has featured on various media and news platforms over the last week to talk about the Pahalgam attacks. We have tried to understand from Tehmeena what the Indian think tank and the government is planning. She also shares how the international support is with India at this point of time, and what has been Pakistan's uh, ploy over the years to play the victim card. At this point, I would only request that we all refrain from spreading hate of any sort within the country and to stand in solidarity with our government, with our armed forces. Jai Hind. This feels a little, I have mixed emotions when I welcome you to the show today because uh, we will be talking about the Pahalgam attacks. So today we are on 26th. So the attack happened on 22nd. It's been 4 days. How have you been feeling? So why I ask you? Let me, before you answer that, why I am asking you. So as an Indian, obviously we are all angry. We are all angry. We are all, hurt, and we want something to happen. And this has happened in a place where you have been born and brought up. So my specific question to you: how do you feel about it?
So there have been a mix of emotions, and I think everybody would resonate with that right now. That there is anger, there is sadness, and there is also a sort of, as Kashmiris, we also feel shameful that this should not have happened with the people who come to Kashmir and then they want to enjoy in the valleys, and this is not something we want them to witness. Kashmiris, though, even you might be seeing these days, it has been 4 days that everybody is on the road. From Ghantagar to Pahalgam to Budgam, from every area of Kashmir, people have been on roads protesting, saying that, this should not have happened. And we feel very sad and shameful about the incident. I think what's more important right now is that we should we should channel our emotions in a way that we don't create a sort of hatred towards each other. Of course,
Exactly.
I have been telling earlier as well, of course, it's a very shameful incident that people were asked about their religion before killing them. And this is not something which is very normal. This should not have happened.
Hmm.
But you must also, all of us must also acknowledge that this jihadi mindset to kill somebody on the basis of their religion
Hmm.
is not something which is emerging out of Indian Muslimness. We have to
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
This is backed from a state, a failed state, I would say. This is backed from a terror group whose ideology of Islam is terrorism, whose
Hmm.
ideology of killing people is on the basis of religion. Their leaders go around on social media and everywhere telling people that, you know, they're Muslims and Pakistan was made on the basis of kalma, and it runs on the basis of Islamic jurisprudence, and which is an absolute lie, I must tell you, because this is the only failed state who kills their own Shia people inside the country.
Yeah.
And this is also the failed state who does absolute filthy work in Balochistan, and then they call themselves an Islamic state, and then they talk about Islam and other. Islam is a very peaceful religion, and this Islam, whatever they have been propagating, we don't endorse it. So yeah, definitely there has been a lot of anguish over this. And because it also raises a larger question, then you cannot really tell people not to feel about it. It raises a
Hmm.
larger question that, you know, right now there's a situation that almost every Muslim is questioned. They have been asked that, you know, this is what you portray, this is what you do. But that is not the reality. I have been telling this to everybody that times are very sensitive. We should not try to portray it in a very hatred and sort of anger model, which ruins our own internal peace in the country. Even the most surprising part, and in fact, the best part about this country, is that you would have seen everybody is right now together, from left to right,
Yeah.
from Congress to
Absolutely.
Asaduddin, Owaisi Sahab, everybody is out there standing together, because this is such a tragedy which has, like, you know, it is over all the nation right now, across nation. It's not something that a single person would just come out and fight about it.
Hmm.
So everybody has to stand together right now, and that's what is going to help, because the larger enemy is Pakistan and we have to fight against them.
Absolutely. But talking about particularly about Kashmir and the attacks that happened on the 22nd. So finally, if you after 370, for the last 4, 5, good 6 years, the Kashmiri tourism opened up. The economy was, going in the right direction. And do you think this was a very planned attack uh, at a time when US Vice President is in India, when we just have the, Amarnath Yatras very, very soon. We have the elections coming up in a few of the states. So, do you think this was somewhere a very planned attack, and the timing was really, really planned?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a very strategic move. There are 2, 3 reasons why we are calling it a strategic move. One is that US's vice president was in India.
Hmm.
Second is that, if you would have followed the news, that this area of Besaran Valley opens for Amarnath Yatris also, it opens around June.
Right.
So there was, if this was opened and people were there was no message sent to administration that this is going, like, this area is open. Third thing is that to attack tourists is to drive a larger message, because to attack tourists is to send a sort of threat across India that Kashmir is not safe for you. And
Yes.
it's a very strategic move, so that rest of the India feels that, you know, Kashmir is never safe for them, we should not travel. So it is a sort of, yes, it would hamper the local economy, and
Hmm.
that was the plan. And in fact, if you ask me, from last 5, 6 years, Kashmir was doing very good. I mean, in terms of tourism, economy, development, and everything. Of course, some people have been there opposing, saying that it is a cosmetic piece. But I have been on ground since all these
Hmm.
years, and I have seen what changes it has brought. So I think probably the state, they don't like us flourishing. Pakistani state, they don't like us flourishing. They don't like us happy. They have always been backing the Kashmir conflict, and they probably want us to be always in a conflicted situation, so that we are really downtrodden, and we feel that there's nobody for us, and that's what they want. And for the larger message, it also has a international sort of limelight, because killing tourists, and also deriving a message from that killing Hindu
Yeah.
tourists, and we also lost our own men in there. So it derives a sort of international limelight that see what is happening in Kashmir, and that's what they wanted. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
strategic move.
So indeed, I was talking to a friend of mine last evening. So he was supposed to go to Kashmir. I think he had made his booking just on 19th or 20th. He had made his bookings,
Mhm.
and he had to cancel that. Now there would be so many people who might have planned to go to Kashmir, or might would have again planned to go to Kashmir maybe during the blossom season or towards the winter, whatever it is. Now all that money, all that tourist attraction, all that tourism economy will be wiped out, right? And we were discussing on the point that when something of this sort happens, and tourism obviously is one of the biggest economy booster for Kashmir. When people like who are giving those pony rides, or who are running their stalls and everything, they will suffer the most when that happens. When they don't have uh, money in their pocket to bring food to their family, that's when the situation is most vulnerable, and that's when it's easy for you know uh, the failed state, as we are calling it, the Pakistan, or the radical part of it, the radical people, to mind wash these people, and to then change them radically, change them, and uh, again make Kashmir what it was maybe 10 years, 15 years ago, which we want to completely avoid this time. So do you think there were some security lapses that has happened from our end as well, from our intel perspective?
See, yeah, there have been a lot of reports going, and Indian government has
Hmm.
also said that there were security lapses, and obviously, there has been security lapses earlier as well, when a lot of attacks happened, and people have been blaming the government. Government also took the responsibility, saying that yes, it has happened. But we must also say that the people who attacked, they had a very meticulous planning involving these terror outfits. And imagine the sort of confusion they are creating, because the very first day,
Hmm. Hmm.
the resistance front said that they are saying that they're taking the responsibility of this attack, and now today they're saying we are not taking the responsibility of
Hmm.
that. So it is very I don't know whether they were lying that time, or whether they're lying right now, or whether this is their confused or a very sort of misjudged, or whatever problems there are within their terror outfits. But yeah, definitely, this area, now there are a lot of loopholes when we try to understand it. One is that while government is saying that there has been a security lapse, second thing is that one report says it happened with local support.
Hmm.
With local support, I'm trying to say that again, which I mentioned earlier, that if this area was not supposed to open right now, how did this open without informing the administration? So
Yes.
there are a lot of stakeholders at play. Uh, call it a very bad timing of not messaging the administration, the security lapse, and the takeover of the resistance front and their sort of ideology. So everything happened all at once. What was more surprising this time, which we noticed, was that the weaponry these people were carrying was so sophisticated,
Hmm.
and their communications were very encrypted, because they reached that point and nobody got to know that whatever happened around, there might be some communications going around while they were trying to reach the area. And they have also, what I'm calling local support, they have used radicalized local operatives.
Hmm.
and that is something which reflects a dangerous new sort of hybrid warfare model which was not there earlier. So it is sort of merging cross-border terrorism with indigenous
Yes.
radicalization. Very, very strategic move, as I said earlier, to also trigger communal discord nationally. And I think larger point is this, that government has accepted the security lapse, and we expect, as analysts, we accept that this should not
Hmm.
happen in future again, because we cannot really afford it and we cannot risk it.
I think the very next day after the attacks, General Bakshi was on some TV show wherein he was at the point of, crying, at the point of, shouting, screaming that I had told that we need uh, more soldiers in the valley, and it was not given to us. And now these attacks happen. And then there are so many other, if you tune into any channel wherein the analysts and the people are discussing about it, everyone is saying a attack of this, quantum was bound to happen at some point of time. Why do you, I mean, if there was something, I mean, everyone one had anticipated that there is something or the other going to happen in the valley, where did our intel go wrong then?
So I think while we are analyzing this and
Hmm.
discussing this, there have been always intelligence based operations in Kashmir, and particularly in South Kashmir, to sort of always neutralize terror cells. This also comes as a surprise for us, that where did it go wrong?
Hmm.
Now, the only thing is what we can expect and are waiting for, until and unless we don't really have a statement out of Government of India that where it
Right.
went wrong. The only thing we can assume is this: of course, there's a lapse, and of course, there might be they might have less deployment over there. So I think this is too early to really analyze that situation, and I think we
Hmm.
should wait for Government of India's formal take on that, and they must answer. I'm telling you, they have already taken the responsibility,
Yeah.
and give it some days more, they will come up with an answer that what exactly happened on the ground.
So, as a public policy analyst speaker, what do you think the security measures that the government will be planning to take? I mean, obviously, Indus Water Treaty and all these things we will discuss, which was, I think, released by Mr. Vikram Mishri, Foreign Secretary, the day after the attacks. So, all
Hmm.
those things we'll discuss upon. But as a, in your public, personal opinion, what steps do you think the government, Indian government, should take now?
I think as hurtful it is to say again,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
we had less deployment from earlier years, because we were seeing a sort of change, and we didn't want now to sort of militarize the region in that way. But we will have to take massive security sweeps, with probably preventive detentions focused on
Hmm.
disrupting the overground workers networks, and it has been happening. I cannot really deny that it was not
Right.
happening, but we will have to take more measures now. And as I said, intelligence based operations across Kashmir to neutralize such terror cells. Border security should be enhanced, and deployment of sort of more forces or elite forces, and more units and drone surveillance over critical installations, that should happen. And one step which is already there, which we were also analyzing, would be a sort of welcome step, is that diplomatic offensives, including suspension of
Hmm.
Pakistani visas and border tightening. Most critically, I think the government's approach for balancing hard power with information warfare,
Hmm.
because that is something which is a huge challenge at hand right now, information warfare. And we should leverage international media to expose Pakistan's duplicity and simultaneously running counter radical. What is more funny right now is that, Pakistan, while it goes around saying that we have been doing dirty work for US for
Yeah.
these many years, uh, if anybody has noticed that Pakistan has a habit of playing victim on international platforms.
Yeah.
It
Always.
is a sort of first hand. It has first hand
Hmm.
involvement in terror attacks, but then on international platforms it plays a victim.
Hmm.
Either somebody was behind them to make this attack happen, either they'll try to portray it in that way, or else they will say, oh, we are facing a lot of issues. The sort of place they also take, the position they take on international platforms, say United Nations or SARC, that also makes important for us, that why the platforms like BIMSTEC and all of that, we have to take positions there, because Pakistan has been doing it since many years now. Even in UN, because I also speak at the United
Right.
Nations, I've always seen Pakistan's victimization coming around, saying that, oh, this thing happened to us, that thing happened, when they're intentionally working as a terror
Hmm.
factory. And I said it yesterday in a panel as well, that Pakistan's foreign policy model and the structure of foreign policy they have is anti India. But they will go around on platforms saying that, we are victims. So there's, even these days, the reports which are coming around, they're still in denial, deflection, and they take it as, they took probably it as diplomatic offense, but then what? Then nothing about it. So that's their behavior. They're always a bunch of losers.
So if you look at the Pakistani defense minister's interview last evening with this US correspondent, uh, he clearly mentions the same fact that you mentioned, that we have been doing the dirty work of US for long now, right? So on one hand, as funny at on one hand, you are clearly accepting the fact that Pakistan is sponsoring I mean, it's Pakistan has state sponsored terrorism. On the other hand, you're trying to play the victim card, right? What is happening? It's not only that it's cross border terrorism, but even within the country, Pakistanis have been killed because of terrorism. And if you look at from a point of view, from a Pakistani citizen point of view, even they are unhappy. It happened during Kargil. They were not happy that why something like that sort of happened when our PM was in had visited Pakistan. It has happened now also when there are so many people going out there in front of the Pakistani High Commission and protesting out there. And you look at the kind of gestures that the Pakistani commissioner, or sorry, the higher officials are making. Have you I don't know if you have the chance to look at that video wherein there is a long queue of people just outside Pakistani High Commission, and there is
Mm.
one of the person who has Captain Abhinandan's photo, and he is signaling something like that.
Yeah.
So is that a behavior of a responsible state?
No, not at all. Not at all. If he was a trained army officer, and if
Hmm.
he was an officer of any rank, that is not the behavior normally we expect. So that is also a reflection of this larger message, that even at the higher ranks, officials in Pakistan don't have the
Hmm.
senses of how to play it well, and don't have the senses of to maintain a sort of integrity, or to maintain a sort of diplomatic outlook towards it. So if the higher officials are like that, we can obviously expect what the state structure or their overall response is like. As I earlier said, they're still in deflection,
Hmm.
denial, and
Hmm.
they're creating jokes out of it, like this is something which happened randomly inside a house, that the way they're looking at it. And only today I told you that TRF has denied any involvement. And they have also, while they're retaliating by suspending the 1972 Simla Agreement,
Yeah.
they are now trying to, sort of internationalize the issue by calling for a neutral probe. What I saw today, that, we will call for a neutral
Hmm.
probe,
Hmm.
which is again a tactic to buy more time and shift global attention. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier as well. Their tactics are very sort of locally political,
Hmm.
playing smaller games, sort of buying time, shifting attention towards themselves, then playing victim on international platforms. So by now we should understand what type of state it is, and they don't have anything other than this in hand, and I don't think they're even capable of doing anything else.
Now, talking about Shimla Agreement, the first thing, Pakistan itself has obeyed the Shimla Agreement, right? Which means two things. Now they want third party intervention in the Kashmir issue. Second point, if there is no Shimla Agreement, does that legally mean there is no LOC now and India can take back its land?
See, the basic pointer of Simla Agreement 1972, it was a sort of bedrock for
Right.
Indian-Pakistan bilateral dispute. But what was the major point which was emphasized upon was that this resolution should be attained through dialogue.
Hmm.
And Pakistan never abided by that. Because whenever even we tried for anything, there has
Hmm.
been always a sort of, denial. Now, Pakistan's suspension of Simla Agreement after this attack signifies that it will be a de facto end of any bilateral mechanism,
Right.
which paradoxically would, of course, strengthen India's case internationally, which is a very very great thing to have. That Pakistan internationally, our case would be that Pakistan is an unreliable partner, which they have been, but now we have got the foothold of
Yeah.
it. Talking about LOC status, without Simla, the LOC could come under direct threat. So it is also a sort of it necessitates the increased militarization and international
Hmm.
legal recalibration on this thing. Losing it entirely might not be the right, I think, usage of words, but yes, it would be under direct threat.
Okay. Now, is the whatever they have done, I mean, whatever they're, regarding the Shimla Agreement, whatever the statement that they have issued,
Hmm.
do you think it was a very premature and, not mincing my words, a stupid move by Pakistan?
I think definitely. See, we are time and again going towards the same conversation. I'm telling you, the tactics they have been using, the sort of deflection and diplomatic moves they have, it is a very immature sort of
Hmm.
step. And this is not new for them. This is not new for Pakistan. So by now, I think even the locals of India know what they're going to do next, because that is their strategies are very loose in these terms. And if you tell me terror strategies, they have very strong terror strategies, but diplomatic and all of those political strategies, no, very loose.
So how, I mean, Pakistan can keep on denying the fact that it's not state sponsored, but it's, I think, it's completely proven fact on to India, obviously, and to the global scenario that ISI is involved in all the terror, I mean, attacks that have happened in India or maybe anywhere else. So ISI is directly involved in those things. Okay. Now, looking at India's response to this 22nd Pahalgam attacks,
Mhm.
uh, the statement from the foreign secretary, that we will not, obey the Indus Water Treaty. It then came in the SVS visa, which Pakistan has also, cancelled from their end. Uh, okay, now on Indus Water Treaty,
Mhm.
when we say that we'll stop the supply of Indus River's water to Pakistan, is that so easy to do? What is the reality behind it? Because, in my opinion, the water flowing from Indus, from the Indian territory to Pakistan territory from the Indus River,
Mhm.
we don't have the infrastructure as of now to stop the water. We don't have the dams, we don't have the canals. Where
Yeah.
do we use that water?
Mm.
Right.
So
So
from
what is the reality?
so from legal point of view, India is fully within its rights to
Hmm.
utilize its share of water from the eastern rivers, Ravi, Bias, and Satluj under the 1960 treaty. But India's announcement of suspending the Indus Water Treaty it is very powerful, but it's practically challenging. Of course, as you said, infrastructure is a huge
Hmm.
challenge. Full stoppage or diversion of the western rivers, Indus, Chenab, Jhelum, uh, all of this would require large-scale canal and dam projects.
Exactly.
Uh, if we analyze it well, probably demanding sort of 4 to 5 years and a lot of money into investment.
Yeah.
So that is an infrastructural challenge. It is for a move, it is a very powerful move, but to sort of imply it on ground, there are going to be huge challenges. However, even a partial reduction, slight reduction, delay, or utilization could severely pressure Pakistan's water stressed agricultural economy, because
Right.
of course they have an agricultural economy. So we even if we partially reduce, delay, or utilize it in a way that it is going to severely pressure them. Thus, I think suspension is more of a strategic signaling mechanism at this stage, I would
Hmm.
say,
Hmm.
and of course, an immediate operational blow. But if we really want to imply that on ground, it will take us infrastructural challenges. And I think analysts in India have been saying this, and all of us recognize that even if we start doing it, it will take us some time to, really achieve that.
So what exactly what is the immediate action item when India says that we'll stop the Indus Water Treaty, will not obey it? So does that mean the annual convention that the Indian party and the Pakistani party had, I mean the Indus Water Treaty parties, so that completely stops as of now?
I think yes. So that's what I'm saying. To the
Hmm.
debates over it and discussions over it, and the sort of legality
Hmm.
involved into it, it stops as of now. But when you start to sort of structure it in ground, it will have its infrastructural challenges. When I said infrastructure, it is particularly related to the ground.
Okay. I was reading somewhere, I think Islamabad is already at 30% water shortage.
Mhm,
Right. If somewhere this thing happens, Indus Water Treaty gets cancelled and gets stopped
mhm,
by India,
mhm,
Pakistan has already said that it will be taken as an act of war,
mhm.
and they will respond it, in their own way. So, do you believe? I mean, I'm looking at so many interviews that there is a signal of a war between India and Pakistan.
Mhm.
I'm not bothered about Pakistan, really. Uh, so, do you think India can afford a war at this point of time?
Uh, Bluntly, no, not a full scale war. Of course, there have been sentiments, and of course that analysts and all of us are ready, sort of, to take this ahead. But it will have its challenges. Strategically, global realignment, sort of Ukraine war, Indo-Pacific
Hmm.
contestations. It demands India to maintain economic stability, to emerge as a sort of democratic power. Though I don't doubt that we are not, but thus
Hmm.
I think the doctrine will be of limited sort of warfare, and it will. What we think is, as of now, it will be focused more on warfare, counter-terror operations, covert retaliations, and lawfare. But full-scale war is seems very difficult right now. And while we are talking about Indus Water Treaty, we must also read about it that India has been pushing a lot of other stalled projects as well, like the Shahpur Kandi Dam
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
multi-purpose project to maximize utilization of other rivers as well. So even Chenab remains contentious because it primarily feeds into Pakistan. But there has to be a lot of smart management into this. As you said, that there is already the water shortage in there. So I think what we call it hydro diplomacy must align with legal actions under the Indus Water Treaty, with the long term infrastructure development plan, and with war reference as well. It
Hmm.
has to have infrastructural design and a strategic design in a way that we are fully ready.
What do you think about Pakistan's response to this overall situation? I mean, we are seeing a full-blown army, and I think they have deployed couple of fighter jets as well along the borders.
Hmm.
So, what does it suggest? What do you think about Pakistan's response to this?
What I was following yesterday was that they have already started, deploying some of the troops and withdrawing
Hmm.
some. So I think Yeah, and diplomatically, India will, of course, also push for the isolation of Pakistan. And they are trying their hands into, again, victimization, asking for international support. So, and even if you ask me for war situation, I don't think they are ready for it as well.
Hmm.
So, Pakistan's response, I think, will resort to sort of familiar playbook, which I said earlier, denial and deflection. And the suspension of airspace, particularly,
Hmm.
and trade, symbolizes that Pakistan's increasing strategic desperation. They have definitely a strategic desperation, uh, and that desperation is speaking louder than their confidence. And we everybody has started looking through their sense of lack of confidence and lack of strategies. So domestically, I think the Pakistani establishment is battling its own economic crisis and internal unrest, of course, in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So it will make it more aggressive posture externally, and sort of an internal political theater. They already have an internal political theater, which we funnily call it a daily drama, like daily soap sort of theater they have internally. And the external, that's
Hmm.
what I'm saying this. And also, I think the plus point which we forgot to mention is that all the Muslim countries right now are standing with India.
Yeah.
And everybody has shown their support towards India, from Saudi Arabia, from UAE, from other countries. So that's also a huge blow for Pakistan, because if they are isolated internationally, it will make their case more weak. So yeah, if they continue with their political sort of drama and theater, they already are standing on a lost battle.
So, this overall deployment of army, fighter jets, and everything along the border by the by Pakistan, are they somewhere anticipating a surgical strike by India, and it's a response more towards that?
Probably yes, and it's also not a surprise, because
Hmm.
they definitely know India's potential in those cases, and they would definitely keep their they would be on red alert right now. So they might be anticipating that, and I'm saying it's a good anticipation. They must.
Okay. We're talking about international support, right? So US has very loudly supported, has extended their support to India. So
Mhm.
has UAE and other countries. Uh, Now, if you look at China, I think it's the only major economy which has silently shown its support not to India directly, but to the overall terrorism overall. Right?
Mhm.
What do
Mhm.
you make out of it?
So I think in these cases, when such incidents happen, China and
Hmm.
Pakistan nexus cannot be ignored. It's something we cannot brush under the carpet. There are CPEC vulnerabilities, and right now, what's a huge, I think, I would say that it's a huge platform that India should or might leverage the anti CPEC sentiments within
Hmm.
Gilgit Baltistan. There are border postures as well. India must be ready and should be ready for a two front sort of scenario, especially along LAC. Uh, Diplomatically, India continues to engage with the Quad to balance sort of Chinese influence while keeping back channels with Beijing open. But I think it's a very sort of sensitive nexus right now. That's why I said, when we talk about international lobbies, since Pakistan has been leveraging on SARC platforms and other platforms, that's why BIMSTEC becomes very important for us to leverage those vulnerabilities.
Yeah. Okay. Leaving aside China, what do you think about international support from countries like US, France, UAE, Russia on this particular matter, the Pahalgam attacks, or the
Yeah,
Pahalgam attacks?
so there has been, as I said previously, that there has been international support,
Hmm.
and countries have come up supporting India, and that is a huge blow for Pakistan, because all the countries have, directly shown their support. Um, even United States, they condemned the Pahalgam attack, calling for Pakistan's accountability under its own anti-terror legislation. But it became a very weird pointer when Pakistan's leaders started saying that we have been doing dirty work for US. So, it becomes a very sort of confused scenario for the larger masses. And for Russia, I think they have been cautious. They have always been cautious, but supportive of India's right to self-defense. So there they are as well supporting us. As far as Japan and France and other countries are concerned, they have given strong statements supporting India's sovereignty and security imperatives. But what was more important for us is UAE and Saudi, but like Saudi area particularly, because they have been in previous years actively collaborating with India, and particularly on counterterrorism sort of measures and intelligence sharing with Saudi Arabia. Last year as well, there was this conversation going on around counterterrorism operations. So this diplomatic sort of momentum must be converted right now. At least it's a great time to convert it into tangible outcomes. When I say tangible outcomes, it is greater scrutiny of Pakistan, of course, in FATF, and ensuring that Kashmir remains a domestic issue internationally. Because what Pakistan has been trying over all these years is to sort of put the attention into this issue, but also sort of say that we are stakeholder in the issue. Stakeholder in the sense that they have a huge stake in Kashmir, though Kashmir is a domestic issue for India.
Right.
And they are trying to make it on other terms. So what is a plus point for India right now is that all other countries are standing with us, particularly Muslim countries, which is huge.
Again, going back to the attacks and India's response to it, we are obviously we are yet to hear from the government on the firm steps, apart from the 4 or 5 pointers that have already been issued.
Yeah.
But anyone and everyone can feel that something or the other is going to happen. If not today, maybe tomorrow, but something is going to happen. There are you can feel that tense in the air.
Yeah.
The reason I say that, because when this terrorist attack happened in Pahalgam, rather than killing one of the, if you have heard that, rather than killing one of the women whose husband was shot then and there, she was asked, go and tell Modi.
Yeah.
Now you hear the words. They are not saying go to the Indian army, go to the government. It's your country's leader that they are pinpointing at. So what exactly do you make out of this word, or this pinpointing towards the prime minister?
I think, as I said earlier, the tactics have changed, and to attack tourists is to derive a larger message of sort of Kashmir is not safe. That's what they want to portray. And I think the only full stop to all these conversations will come when Indian government, takes it head on, and Indian government starts speaking on it. It has been 3-4 days, and meetings are going around. We have only heard until now. We have only heard from Shri Vikram Misri from Ministry of External Affairs on the IWT and all of other diplomatic ties. But I think the answer to these questions, and sort of to calm the nerves of all rest of the masses, will come from an Indian government openly speaks about it. And it's now high time that they should come out and speak about it, because this attack has also marked a huge shift from sort of what were earlier Fidain tactics to sort of highly calculated mass casualty events. Because, as I said, this was not targeted on civilians. This was particularly targeted on tourists, and that also tourists with asking their religion, and particularly focusing on Hindus, and then telling the woman, they didn't kill the woman, but then telling the woman, go tell Modi. So it also sort of tells us that the mindset, the jihadi mindset, was such that it was really anti-India and anti-Hindu in nature. And since of course there has been amplification of these issues, it has also led to a lot of psychological fear. and we could only put a full stop on the psychological fear and sort of media derivations out of it, and when the government comes out and speaks about it.
Absolutely, because if you even look at the survivors of
Hmm.
that attack, they were also particularly highlighting that, see, it was government's responsibility to ensure our safety. We are the taxpayers, right? It's
Mhm.
taxpayers
Mhm.
money that you're using to do anything and everything across the nation.
Yeah.
And the basic, at least I can expect that within my own country I can be anywhere without any fear, right? And getting your husband, getting your son, getting the anyone from your family killed in front of your eyes is
Hmm.
a horrific, scene, and something that they might never come out of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a heinous crime, and it's a horrific incident. It's something which should not have happened, and it's something that it's so traumatic in nature that even the larger masses will not be able to come out of it soon. And in fact, I am just only thinking from these 2 3 days. I'm just only thinking about the families because it's
Yes.
traumatic for us as well. And these videos coming out of the victims of this attack saying that, when they were narrating the stories, how this happened, it's really, I would say, bone chilling that I couldn't watch those videos because it's something which is not very normal. It's something which is even anti human. I mean, only animals, I would say,
Hmm.
could do that. A person who has got a very animal sort of mindset can do that. So yeah, it's a traumatic event, but should those people who have done it, they should meet the same fate, and some of them have, of course. And I would particularly say this, as blunt as it sounds, that since everybody is on Gantaghar these days in Lal Chowk protesting, the people who have killed Hindus there, they should be brought to Lal Chowk and hanged on Gantaghar so that everybody sees what fate they meet, and so that next person coming along should not have the audacity or the courage to do such act, knowing that we'll be hanged. So it's like same similar situation when we talk about sort of rapes and other things. We say that these people should meet the same fate, because when they do, then they realize the pain is larger. Then they realize that it is not something we just took guns and just shot somebody. So they should be hanged in front of everyone. In front of everyone, there are a lot of protests going on. These people should be hanged in front of everybody so that international media, Kashmir, everybody sees that this is the fate you meet if you do something like that.
So, have you been in touch with your family, friends, network in Kashmir after the attacks?
Yes, I have. And
What's the sentiment down there?
everybody feels sad about it. Everybody is sad. And it is, uh, it would, if you ask me that the same reaction would have been there before 6 years, no, it would not.
Hmm, hmm,
Because I remember when Indian officials used to go to Kashmir or something like that, sort the larger political rally or something used to happen in Kashmir, people used to close their doors, people used to call for band, people used to call for protesting that, we protest against the Indian sort of mentality or political rallies or Indian occupation.
hmm.
But this is a welcome change that our people are standing there, and you must have seen the video saying कि हम हिंदुस्तानी हैं, हिंदुस्तान हमारा. So
Absolutely.
everybody is on roads, and everybody does feel Indian. Everybody feels that it is very sad to that thing should not have happened to our fellow brothers and sisters and Hindu brothers and sisters. There have been videos of people crying saying कि हमारा दिल दुखता है उस बेटी को देख के जिसके husband की death हुई, or she probably has got recently married in within like 1 week
Hmm.
or 2 weeks. And people have been saying कि this should not have happened on our sarzami. So wo sentiment, it is there, and I am happy that all of us are out on roads, telling the sort of terror factory which it is Pakistan, that we know, we don't succumb to your ideology, and we are not going to take this anymore, that you people coming to our land and then telling us how to live here, or how to sort of practice Islam and what Islam says. You cannot tell us that. And it is a very sort of blessing in disguise, I should say, that we are right now feeling that those sentiments are out.
So Tehmeena, we are coming to the end of the podcast. But before we end this, I just wanted to, ask you, you have been on several news channels, debates and everything over the last 3, 4 days, right? And sharing the stage with some of the sharpest minds of India, be it into national security, be it into public policy.
Mm.
Uh, what is their sentiment at this point? What's their thinking, or what's happening in their minds at this point? What could you make out of all the discussions that you had?
Yeah, so the first reaction has always been anger, that this should not have happened, should not happen in any part of India. And the second part, as you said, that we're public policy analysts, the second part is that Pakistan should be given a tough answer, and they should be it should serve as a sort of last try for them, that they have tried this and we are done. Like India as a country is done taking over all these things, and measures should be taken in a way that we give them the message once for all that we are not going to tolerate it. So yeah, the sentiments have been going around. There have been also some people saying that Hindus particularly saying that this happened to you, which is justified. I don't say no, because uh, if I was a Hindu, I would have also felt the same thing,
Hmm.
that why are Hindus killed on the basis of their religion, and why did they check their ID cards? Why did they did other heinous sort of activities? So that anger is justified. At this moment, I cannot really say that they should not be angry. And with an analytical point of view, as I said, so there everybody has been advocating for harsh diplomatic steps, and everybody has been advocating for things that India should not remain silent, and India should respond to that, and that's what we are going to do.
Thank you so much, Tahmina. I know, but we are all angry, we are all hurt, and we are just waiting for our government, to come up with something, that gives at least some sort of closure. Obviously,
Mhm.
the wounds won't heal so quickly, but we have to, the government, the army, the involved, stakeholders have to respond to Pakistan in a way that they understand, and that's
Yes.
only we can expect.
Mm.
Thank you so much for being on the show, Tahmina.
Thank you so
And
much for inviting me.
uh, so we look forward to host you again. There is so much to talk to you about, and you know, wishing all of us, wishing Kashmir a very speedy recovery. And uh, I don't know what to say. It is a very sensitive matter, but we
Yeah,
want
I wish
everyone
all
to
of us
feel
healing from such incidents.
exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.